Welcome back to the Resistance Chicks. We just did India, and that one I got. I'm sorry, Horatio, I can't get Yorkshire, but India, I can do it.
Well, you've got 4 leaders here. Can you do 4 accents in one? You've got Macron, you've got Theresa May, and then you have Merkel. That's our German accent. And Ruth.
Ruth.
So this is interesting. This isn't necessarily new news, but it's been spreading around this week that with the election of Macron, all of Europe's major leaders ain't got no babies, ain't got no children, they're childless.
I want to go back to Caitlin Johnstone's article that she wrote on us, where she was like, where she actually had said in a message to me, I could tell, because I know that you guys, only moms can know these things and all this stuff, and then we had to break it to her that we're not actually moms, but everybody knows that when you got children, you know things that other people that have children don't have, and that you also have a love and a sympathy and a compassion given from God that other people just ain't got. I'm telling you, as a single person that doesn't have children, I'm speaking to all my other people out there that ain't got no children, y'all don't know stuff.
I think there's also a difference though, and I'll add here for Christians, because we feel for our next generation and the next generation and the next generation.
Exactly.
And so it's kind of like we do have kids because God hasn't let us to do that yet. Okay.
Now hang on, if y'all got nieces and nephews and friends and the children, I'll give you that one.
But here's the point. I believe these people are married. I mean, we're not married. That's why we don't got no kids, because we don't believe in bringing up no kids without no daddy.
Yeah, you don't do the deed unless you've got a deed.
Right. That's right. You gotta have a good daddy too, not just one as, we don't believe no baby daddies.
So the point is that these people do not have children. What does that mean? It means that they don't really have a
stake
vested,
in the future.
Yeah, stake in the future to do things for the next generation.
Germany, the United Kingdom, France, and Italy have 0 children between them. That's huge. That is huge.
Big deal.
A feat perhaps never before matched in European history.
But I want to plug something right here, right now, before you move on. This is actually the globalist agenda.
Oh, absolutely.
To stop people from having children. So the fact that these world leaders don't have children just means that they are implementing that globalist Agenda 21, depopulation of the earth.
They are multicultural, they're open-minded, bringing all the migrants, but when it comes to Europe and Europe having children, Europe's leaders have no children, and they seem to have no reason to worry about the future of their continent. And that's the big thing. Right. Thinking, once you have kids and grandkids, you begin to think about generationally. Europe today has little desire to reproduce itself, fight for itself, or even take its own side in an argument. You've got
like Macron coming out with his march to the presidency with the EU national anthem and not the French.
I believe right now that Hungary and Slovakia, I believe, are suing the EU over the whole migrant numbers thing.
Go get them.
And it might be Hungary and Serbia. One of these countries, they electrified their fence. They electrified.
Light it up, baby.
All right, light it up. Finding ourselves becomes more important than building the world. There have never been so many childless politicians leading Europe today. They are modern, open-minded, multicultural, and they know that everything finishes with them. In the short term, being childless is a relief, since it means no spending for families, no sacrifices, and that no one complains about the future consequences, as in a research report financed by European Union. No kids, no problem, they say in the European Union. No problem. Being a mother or a father, however, means you have a real stake in the future of the country you lead. I think leaders definitely need to have babies.
There's actually a biblical precedence for this, because I believe that being a leader of a country is akin to being a minister. Right. And it says that any minister that can't rule his own household ought not to be a leader.
Europe's most important leaders have no children. Leave no children behind them. Europe's most important leaders are all childless. Merkel, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, the French President, Macron. The list continues with Swedish Prime Minister Stefan Löfven, Luxembourg's Prime Minister Xavier Bettel, and Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. And I believe you add to that Juncker. Somebody said Juncker too. Wow. Sydney is my baby. I'm not leaving her behind.
Well, Juncker doesn't have any children because he bottle feeds himself. So.
Oh, come on, Sydney.
He takes care of that. He couldn't bottle feed a child because he's too busy on the bottle himself.
Oh, boom, boom, ching. So, Is that what that says? Did you read that? You make that up yourself.
No, I just made that. What did he say?
No. Europe's leaders have no children. They seem to have no reason to worry about the future of the continent. German philosopher Rudiger Safransky wrote, "For the childless, thinking in terms of the generations to come loses relevance. Therefore, they behave more and more as if they were the last and see themselves as standing at the end of the chain." I think of Macron, and he is quoted as saying, "My children. Your children are your age and 2 years older than you. It don't count. You're creepy, man. You are a puppet." I don't even want to talk. I don't even want to hear your name again. All right. Europe is committing suicide, or at least its leaders have decided to commit suicide, wrote Douglas Murray in The Times. Europe today has little desire to reproduce itself, fight for itself, or even take its own side in an argument. This is in his new book entitled The Strange Death of Europe, called it an existential civilizational tiredness. Wow. Angela Merkel made the fatal decision to open the doors of Germany to 1.5 million migrants to stop the demographic winter of her country. It is not a coincidence that Merkel, who has no children, has been called the compassionate mother of migrants. Yes. Merkel, all these strong, strapping young men. Merkel eventually did not care if the massive influx of these migrants would change German society, probably forever. Dennis Sewell recently wrote in the Catholic Herald,
"It is that idea of Western civilization that greatly complicates the demographic panic. Without it, the answer would be simple. Europe has no need to worry about finding young people to support its elderly in their declining years. There are plenty of young migrants banging at the gates, trying to climb the razor wire or setting sail on flimsy boats to reach our shores. All we need to do is let them in." Now tell me, mister, are those people really going to be a working, productive member of society, contributing to the care of the elderly when they get older?
You want those strapping young males wiping your booty and feeding you applesauce.
But I don't think that's the job that they're looking for. They're wanting them to make money and put their money into the economy, and they're not coming there to make money and to put money into the economy. They're coming to leech off of the economy.
Not all refugees did, but this massive influx. You can see the craziness in their eyes, and we have to call it like it is. Merkel's childless status mirrors German society. 30% of German women have not had children, according to the European Union statistics, with the figure rising among female university graduates to 40%. So if you've graduated from college, 40% of women don't ever have kids. German's Minister of Defense, Ursula von der Leyen, said that unless the birth rate picked up, the country would have to turn the lights out. According to a new study published by the Institute of National Demographics, a quarter of European women born in the 1970s may remain childless. Europe's leaders are no different. 1 in 9 women born in England and in Wales in 1940 were childless at the age of 45, and now 1 in 5. And then you've got Macron and Francois Hollande's assertion that France has a problem with Islam. He is against suspending the citizenship of jihadists and keeps insisting against all evidence that the Islamic State is not Islamic. It goes on to say, and I wanted to show you, here's this, I wanted to show you this. This is
the fertility rate.
So I want you to see that all the way on your left is 1960. And so
right
you've got the two top countries, the Syria and Afghanistan. Were up there at like 8 kids in 1960. They have dropped. Afghanistan and Iraq.
Everybody's dropping, but that's because of the New World Order and the globalist agenda and Agenda 21 trying to depopulate the earth.
You've got Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan are having the most kids. And then you have France, United Kingdom, Europe and Central Asia, Japan, Germany, and Italy. All were right under, in 1960, about 3 kids. And then there's this huge drop, and you're down to just a little, like 1.5 kids. You have 1.5 kids. And
the United Kingdom is at 2. They're at a steady 2.
Steady. You think so?
Yeah, that's the green line.
It's a little under 2. It's a little under the 2 line. A little under.
Oh my gosh.
France is right there, right around 2. But anyways, the point is,
I guess you're right. I'm
just looking at the colors. I like looking at colors. Just
apparently I'm colorblind.
Color, little charts,
Yeah, that's crazy. So,
so it says, with media attention on the infertility epidemic focusing on nations like Japan, where the population is falling, the actual birth rate is comparable to nations like Germany and Italy. Both European nations have decided to combat the phenomenon of an average couple of 2 adults not having 2 children to replace themselves by importing huge numbers of young people from Middle East and Africa. So here we have it. It's weird. It's odd things, and so we joke around here, you know, go make babies.
How many times have we told you guys? We haven't said that in a while. All right.
Our demographic, though, is really interesting because
Yes, we should tell the people our demographic right now. Again, to remind them.
60 or 80.
It's 75.
75% male.
75% of you watching us right now are at least screening it from your computer, maybe into your household, which is wonderful. We have a lot of couples that watch Resistance Chicks, but at least you're registered. 75% of you are male, which I find humbling that, you know, we're feminists, but we're not feminists. We really do believe in the biblical kind of form of men and women. So the fact that a bunch of guys are looking to girls for a political stance, we're very humbled and we're happy to have you. But we must encourage you all. Go find godly women, get married in this order. Find godly women, get married, and have babies.
It's a tough cookie.
Make babies.
We ain't married yet.
No.
It's a tough cookie to find, and we're not all about just finding people. You know, find somebody that you, in my humble opinion, I'm giving you advice. Find somebody who's on the same track as you. That you're headed in the same direction. Like you're going down the road, and they're going down the road. Hey, you want to go down this road together? What we see is we have 50% divorce rate. The one thing I think about this all the time. I have never been married.
So you've never been divorced.
And I don't have any single kids being raised up. And I love kids. If you're pregnant out of wedlock, have your baby. It's more important. I was born in wedlock, conceived out of wedlock, was supposed to be aborted. She was supposed to be aborted in wedlock.
Yeah, because my dad was weird.
Not awesome dude there. But, you know, there's a lot of existential circumstances that happen. And I see all the time, like, especially on Breitbart, there's a lot of men watch Breitbart. And I see a lot of, every time we talk about these things, I see men just swearing off of women and women swearing off of men. And it's like, you guys, you don't understand. We were designed to fit together. You know?
Not just physically. Get your mind out of the gutter. We mean literally, emotionally, spiritually, economically. It just all is meant to flow exactly.
We were meant to be a team that goes like this. Men and women were meant to be a team, not to be. And what happens is in our modern society, it's all based on our modern society, because back when our country was being founded and men went out west and they were digging out their homes in the prairie in Kansas, and they're like, I need me a wife to cook me some dinner and make me some curtains. And so they had these little mail order brides, and the women showed up, and a lot of times it worked out, you know, because they found a common ground and a desire for a certain kind of future. And they work together as a team. Whereas today, where you've got this weird dynamic where men and women are supposed to be like exactly the same. They're supposed to carry exactly the same roles. Men are supposed to come home and do half the cooking, half the child care things, because women are working full time, and men are working full time.
And in that dynamic, you're actually correct. Then you should both be bearing that weight.
But there's this weird, it's an awful pull, and everybody's and they're just being pulled in the wrong direction. Whereas if we stop fighting, stop going in the flow rather than out of the flow.
Right.
But with the modern conveniences, when you've got vacuum cleaners and washing machines and dishwashers and fast food and grocery stores, suddenly things begin to twist and turn, and suddenly you don't necessarily need somebody. I mean, washing clothes used to be like an all-day thing, just like clothes wash. You had to boil the water and you had to make the soap. And so the team isn't needed anymore because we've got slaves.
So I want to, because our demographic is 75% male, and I think maybe a few of you will probably try to stand against this, and that's fine, whoever you are, I don't care. But I want to reach down into the very depths of the manly soul of the men that watch Resistance Chicks, and I want to give you full-fledged permission to embrace your manly, godly role as a God-given protector and provider, okay, and caregiver of your wife and children, okay? As a society, as a leader, we are meant to look to you. The Bible had a Deborah that rose up when the men are too weak, like a Macron. You better believe God has Le Pen there to take the place, all right? But in a healthy society, resistance chick stance is that men really should be the leaders and women should be the backbone that makes them leaders. Okay, 'cause that's what we saw with John Adams and Abigail Adams.
Men are the head, women are the neck.
Exactly. Okay, and so there is this thing that men in society are missing because you're not allowed to have that role because you got all these feminists coming beating you upside the head.
Which is absolutely insane because you've got Islam. And Islam treats women like trash.
Yes.
And in the name of protecting them and providing for them, but they force it.
Right.
Okay? And anytime you force something, you know, you get hemorrhoids. Okay? So don't, it's not supposed to be forced.
Why are you even here to listen to, we're crazy, man.
So, and this is why we encourage Christianity, because Christianity says for women to honor their husbands, but for men to love their wives as Christ loved the church
and laid down his life for her. Boom.
So you've got
y'all got the way harder part.
Things going on, give and take, and you read Proverbs 31, and a woman sees a field and she buys it, and she's
the epitome of what a feminist
woman,
should be,
right?
Yes.
And she works in hand in hand and in tandem with her husband. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Any feminist that's watching, I love you all. And if you're an atheist, I don't care. You need to Google this right now. Proverbs 31. That is our definition of a strong woman.
Right. She stays up late. Her candle doesn't go out by night.
Yes.
She has a strong arm. Her children rise up and call her blessed.
Yes.
She makes sure they are always fed. They're always warm. It's just a beautiful scripture to kind of remind us that everybody thinks that the Bible, somebody said in one of our comments, all the Abrahamic faiths are horrible towards women. Now I have to say that people who write things outside of the Bible and make people do things, the Bible says the letter of the law kills,
but the spirit behind the law brings life.
The way Abraham actually treated Sarah was so beautiful. He protected her, he provided for her, but they were a team. They worked together. They were a team.
Yeah. Well, aside from the time that he said to tell the king that she was his sister.
Yeah, I know, but they worked together. It was a good thing. And I'm not saying that anybody's perfect. Nobody in the Bible was perfect except for Jesus.
Yep.
Right? But when you read the scripture, it asks me questions about it. But please don't make things up, because when I read the Bible, I see how men love women, how they protect them, how they provide for them, how they see them as equal.
Right.
And there are a lot of negative Jewish traditions that I despise. And that when Jesus came, he despised them as well.
Right.
He said, you love the traditions of men rather than the praises of God. You know, when they brought a woman to be stoned for adultery, he said, you without sin cast the first stone. And he looked at her and he says, look, nobody stoned you. Go and sin no more. Nobody condemns you. I don't condemn you. So this is Jesus. This is Christianity in the essence of what God meant to do. And so wow, 16 minutes on.
Actually, I stopped it, so we're at like almost 20. But okay.
European leaders, things like that. Well, the point of having children is having a great marriage and having this equal, work together. In Christianity, men and women are
having
equal,
a posterity,
but different, and that's what people recognize. That the differences are awesome.
Yeah, right? They are.
The differences between men and women are awesome. They're meant to fit together. If you don't have a key for your lock or a lock for your key, then you're just a key, or you're just a lock. But if you have a key and a lock, then you're working and you got things going. Right? You can turn the car on. If you weren't as good as a car sitting there, you ain't got no key. So these marriages are so messed up today, and divorce rates are so out of the
because people aren't operating in their God-given roles. And I have to tell you, as resistance chicks and our feminists, please don't let us lose you. But it is time across the world for men to rise up and be godly men again.
I see it happening. Actually, I give the one thing,
and we have to let them do that. Stop squishing it.
The one thing I appreciate about Islam, if there's something that I do appreciate, it's that I see men rising up. I want to protect women. I see them every day fighting for the equal rights of women, recognizing that these women are weaker. They are weaker. I mean, the idea of a man, several inches taller than a woman, broader, the musculature, you can literally throw women around the room. They beat them with sticks. Things like that. They can physically dominate females. So the point
I wasn't following you for a minute there, so just in case anybody else's brain is as slow as mine, what you meant was what you're appreciating right now about the epidemic of Islam, not of Islam itself, is that it is causing other men to rise up and say this is wrong.
Yeah.
Because the way I heard that was, I appreciate this thing about Islam because these Muslim men protect women. And then my brain went there and I was like, what the heck is she talking about?
No.
I ain't know. Okay.
No, men are rising up. I see them. I see you in the comments. I
Yes.
see you on Facebook. I see you on
Right.
Twitter. I see all these men standing up for women.
She was literally
and children.
sitting on the couch and she was looking at the comments of the 8-year-old boy that committed suicide here in Cincinnati. And she's like, look at all these men. They're crying. It's so great. Y'all know who you are.
Yeah, so it's bringing out, I see Tommy Robinson, I see the Britain First, and I see Jaden and Paul working together side by side. I see Michelle's telling me to wrap it up.
Yep.
She went like this.
I do that when we're way over and the camera's gonna die.
It's usually because the camera dies at 20 minutes, so.
All right, we need to sign off. We love you guys. This is not a conspiracy theory.
Rambling Rose on
It's
this
the
one.
truth. Yes, it did. I'm sorry, I rung her bell. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications. Find us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We love you. God loves you. And God bless. And what? Go make
Your
babies. If you're married.
In Europe.
Yes, and here in America. We need them as well.
Listen, I appreciate Middle Eastern people too, but you know it's like a healthy competition.
It is good, healthy. In Russia,
Olympics.
Putin's telling them go make babies. When the president, if Trump go out and tell the American people to make babies, do that. That'd be great.
It's crazy.
I was called